Good morning, Karim Saikali. You are one of the granddaddies of e-commerce in Lebanon. You're the founder of buylebanese.com and ecomlebanon.com, an e-consultancy on online marketing. Karim, tell us more about you. Who is Karim?
Hello, Jihad. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been working in e-commerce and digital marketing for almost 20 years. Originally, I had studied engineering, but while I was studying in the US, I realized that it wasn't really my field. And during my stay there, I started buying a lot of things online, and I discovered the internet world, which was really powerful.
What year was that?
In 98, actually.
Wow, a long time ago.
A long time ago, almost 20 years ago. And this is how I started being interested in the digital field, e-commerce and digital marketing. And after I came back from the US to Lebanon, I actually launched my two companies, buylebanese.com, which is an e-commerce one, and ecomlebanon.com, which is an e-consultancy.
What brought you back to Lebanon initially?
I wanted to start something new here, and the internet field wasn't really known, so it was really untapped at the time in the region. So I thought if I came back to Lebanon, maybe I could do something new and be a first mover in the field. So this is how I started, actually.
So you came back, and what year was that?
I came back in the end of 99.
In 99.
And I started working on my projects.
.com.
I launched buylebanese.com in 2000.
Okay.
But it took me actually about a year to launch it, to work on it.
Tell us more about Buy Lebanese.
Buylebanese.com is an e-commerce company which delivers Lebanese food and products to the world. We have an extensive range of Lebanese goods, from food, books, movies, music, and we ship by fast courier to more than 130 countries.
Wow.
Within 2 to 4 working days all over the world.
And you are, I guess, the leader in Lebanese products in the world.
Well, we started 18 years ago, and we were the first to offer a full range of Lebanese goods while being based in Lebanon. You have other retailers, online retailers, which are based overseas in Europe and the US. But out of Lebanon, we were the first to do that.
And you started immediately with like foods and books and music, or you focused initially on one type of product?
Initially, there were more food items, and then with time, we extended the range of goods. Now we have much more items. So we have many books and CDs and DVDs, and we're working with artists to launch their albums. We have a launching that is coming soon for a CD exclusively on our website.
Of who?
We're launching the CD of Mike Massey.
Okay, wow. So you have the exclusivity?
Yeah, for the CD part.
To ship outside?
To ship all over the world, yes, from Lebanon.
I'm asking all this, Karim, because we're going to get to the point where to understand your advice to entrepreneurs, mainly in e-commerce, but also in digital marketing. And we'll get to that part because you're also a specialist. Let's continue a little bit on the story of Buy Lebanese. How many customers have you served?
Thousands and thousands and thousands in 130 countries.
You
straight
stopped
from
counting?
Lebanon. Well, we have new clients every day, and it's expanding.
How many shipments do you do per day, approximately?
We have approximately 1,000 shipments a year between retail and wholesale. Okay. So we do both, actually. So we also ship to restaurants, So we do B2C and B2B.
In the B2C side, your clients are mainly Lebanese expats outside, or do you have foreigners, or it's a mix?
Mostly Lebanese. We have a lot of foreigners, a lot of US customers, Japanese, British, French, but it's mostly local Lebanese.
What do expats long for? What do they buy?
Well, everything. They love our products, and what we offer on the website is really of very good quality. So
are they buying bread and labneh?
We don't ship goods that require refrigeration, so no meat, no labneh.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, but they buy a lot of bread, a lot of sweets, a lot of tahine.
And what do non-Lebanese like?
Well, it's a mix because they usually tend to try everything. So they try jam, they try bakery, they try sweets. The choice is pretty big. We have a lot of herbs and spices. And
does the brand Lebanon sell? So you think brand Lebanon is a good today sale? It's a good product.
Well, the thing is, we've been really selective. So when we choose our products, we make sure that they're from renowned suppliers. They're top quality. So quality is extremely important. So we do not ship just anything. We select each and every product. So we taste it, we test it, and then we decide whether to display it on the website or not. So in general, most of the goods our clients buy, they buy again. So
after all these years in e-commerce, and what if you had to start again today? Let's say you come back today and the ecosystem has completely changed. Well, there is an ecosystem. There wasn't one when you came. Internet is totally different. What would you do different in launching an e-commerce?
Well, the thing is, when I started 20 years ago, like working in the field, I unfortunately did not have a lot of working experience. So I had to learn it the tough way. So now when I think about it, I say it's great to learn it the tough way. But if you have a little bit of experience before launching, then this can simplify a lot of things. Now, in my approach, I've always been pretty conservative, so I did not look for funding. I did it the slow way, the difficult way. My approach was rather conservative in this sense.
So you never raised money by Lebanese?
No, I was approached several times by investors, by people who wanted to acquire the company, but I did not actually raise funds.
That's very interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that actually most startups in the world do not raise money from funds. I mean, you are the standard. Raising money is the exception, but this is where the hype is. So for entrepreneurs, this is a very good lesson that you can build a leading e-commerce and never have raised money. Yeah. But how did you manage cash flow? I mean, the inherent problems of cash flow. What advice would you give? Okay, I'm launching my e-commerce. How do I go about managing, the problems of cash flow?
Okay, at the time, I did not have a cash flow problem. The thing is, I launched bylebanese.com with a friend of mine, so we actually split the work. He was working on developing the platform. I was working on marketing. We did everything on our own. So we took photos. The photos didn't look nice at all at the beginning. They were really amateurish. But we saved a lot on development. We saved a lot on advertising. So there was no cash flow problem. We basically launched the project with $500 only at the time. So the only thing I had to do was basically incorporate the company. And the rest was done by myself and my partner. My partner left in 2003, so I had to do a lot of things by my own after he left. But yes, it was really difficult. I made so many overnights, tested things that didn't work, but I received a lot of support from the local media. So they covered the project extensively, and this was really helpful in terms of marketing, advertising, etc. So this saved a lot of money during the launch of the project. We've also done a lot of affiliation with them. So basically, they were charging me whenever we had the sale, and this was maybe 15 years ago. Yeah, 15 years ago. So we were probably among the first ones to work in affiliation at the time. So I'm really grateful to the support of the media. They were really nice and helpful.
Traditional media and digital media.
Well, actually, the media helped a lot in digital because they at the time they were launching their websites. So whenever they covered the project, they also mentioned published the article over the net. And in affiliation, yes, it was through their websites.
Can you explain to our viewers and listeners a bit more about the affiliation? What's affiliation? Because I guess a lot of people don't know the model of affiliation, of affiliation marketing.
So basically, at the time, we had developed a feature on our website which would allow websites to track their sales through our platform. So basically, we would place our banner on their websites, and with a piece of code, they would know if people bought through the click they had. So basically, we're paying a percentage on sales only.
Which is a great cash saver. I mean, this is a very good method to get customers with no cash.
Yes, at the time it was easier than now. Now things became more difficult, but now you can work on a CPA model, but with publishers based outside Lebanon. In Lebanon, I don't think we have publishers who work on a CPA model yet.
This opens, I mean, this is how I guess you're getting your customers then. That was your customer acquisition method. At
the time, yes. So there were a lot of interviews about the project, so which created buzz at the time. We worked on affiliation, but the most important thing was actually offering an outstanding service. So word of mouth was really helpful in the project. So we basically have 99.9999% customer satisfaction. So if you visit our testimonials page, you'll see thousands of amazing reviews. So this is, I think, one of the most important things to work on.
Quality products.
Yes.
Outstanding service.
Absolutely.
And the ability to grow without spending cash upfront.
Yes. So now, if you want to spend cash, you have to think wisely, because there's always a dilemma. If you don't spend cash, you don't get known. And if you spend a lot of cash on advertising, then maybe a lot will be a waste. So whenever you want to advertise, you always have to test and see which platforms are the best for you, for your business. So if a platform works out well, then you can invest more in it. If it doesn't, then you have to change your advertising model or platform, etc.
This is a very interesting, though it's common sense as a concept, which is the idea of testing when you do advertising, and digital allows you to do that. I'm going to open a small parenthesis, because on the side you have ecomlebanon.com, which is a digital marketing agency. How would you define Ecom Lebanon?
It's an e-consultancy and digital marketing agency.
So you use your experience to help others grow digitally.
Yes.
Do you think entrepreneurs today in Lebanon, or even companies, larger companies that you've helped, I know you've worked with some big groups also, do they understand the concept of you need to test, the concept of A/B, testing, the concept that you need to always adapt, or you think we're not there yet in terms of ecosystem in Lebanon of understanding that?
Well, what surprises me mostly is that a lot of people still believe that whenever they have a product online, it will start selling by its own, and it's actually something that is really wrong. You have to do a lot of optimization, a lot of testing. So in general, big companies understand this, but I've noticed a lot of entrepreneurs who are launching their products online think that it's just a matter of a few minutes. Like you published and that's it. The product is online and you start getting a lot of sales.
I'll be rich in 2 minutes.
Exactly. So no, it's e-commerce in general is really a very complex field. It requires a lot of work, a lot of follow-up. There are so many things to work on when you work in e-commerce. So you have to work on a great product or a great service. You have to have a great customer service. You have to have a great platform. You have to have an optimized optimize advertising. You have to do a lot of testing all the time, and you have to innovate, and you have to revamp. So there is so much work involved in it.
So the idea that I launch my e-commerce, I put some products, and I just sleep on it and get and show me the money doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Well, it could work if you're really lucky, but in general, it's much more than that. Having a product online on a platform is probably maybe 20% of the work that needs to be done.
Yeah. Having an e-commerce based in Lebanon, are you finding difficulties in exporting from Lebanon? Is this a problem? I mean, being based in Beirut, is it a problem? In Lebanon, is it a problem?
Yeah, there are two things that make things difficult sometimes. Sometimes you have customs regulations which are problematic. So we have countries, for example, which do not allow food products. So this is a barrier for us, definitely. And in 2006, we had a problem when the airport closed because of the war. So this caused some problems at the beginning. But well, we did not stop working. We were still shipping every day, and we received record sales at the time. But we had to ship by ground to Syria and then ship from there.
Entrepreneurs adapt.
Yes, but definitely, if the airport closes, it's a bit problematic for us.
No, but do you think Lebanon can be an e-commerce hub? I mean, can we export from here? Can we build like Dubai is trying to be an e-commerce hub? Does Lebanon have what it takes in terms of regulation, in terms of pricing, in terms of rules?
Not yet. We don't have a legal framework yet. So we have to work on so many things. First of all, we need to work on a framework. Second, we have to work on probably better internet connections. Like you cannot have an online business and then encounter problems in internet. So one day it doesn't work, or one day it's too slow. So we need to work on better infrastructures. It's not that easy. It's not that it's impossible, but there's a lot of work to do before going through that. The second thing is we also have to work on reputation. We're a country, unfortunately, which has a reputation of problems, of war. So this is sometimes discouraging for the international community. We sometimes also encounter problems with international banks. So whenever somebody uses an international card on a Middle Eastern website, sometimes banks block the transaction. So there's a series of problems which need to be resolved in order to be
and how's the relation? Because I mean, part of building an e-commerce hub in a country is having the whole supply chain, I would say, the whole chain, value chain, really well integrated and smooth. Does this today exist with the shippers of this world, the DHLs, the FedEx, the whatever? I mean, and plus the suppliers to be ready. Do you think all this is smooth enough, or not? We're not there yet.
Okay, I think one of the keys to success, in order for us to have an e-commerce hub in Lebanon, I think we need to start with e-government. When you work on e-gov, when you start having the culture of e-government, this is where you can think of e-commerce. You have to, as a politician, you have to think of the e-way. So if you start with your infrastructure, with e-services, this is how you can think of an e-commerce hub. I think we're really late when it comes to e-gov. There's a lot of corruption that you can fight with online solutions. So let's start with an e-gov solution, and things will be better if you want to think of an e-commerce hub.
But
I think at this
this
stage
will help in terms of the whole flow. I mean, you mean online signatures, getting
of course,
the export papers done, and everything.
Yeah, and basically when the consumer starts getting used to e-government, like when he starts using the internet to pay and to do all of this stuff, it becomes easier for e-commerce companies as well, because it becomes like his behavior will change. The perception of using the internet and paying online will change. So we need to start there, I think, if we're thinking about the local market.
Today, if you were sitting with the government or the parliament and they tell you, Karim, please help us, what would be like the top 3 priorities you would put?
I think I would start with eGov as soon as possible.
Okay.
eGov is extremely important.
Number 2?
Infrastructure.
Okay.
And then you can think of an e-commerce hub.
Okay. So
and of course, yeah, you also have the legal framework, and you have a lot of things. It's a complex thing, but let's start with eGov.
Do you see in these 20 years things have changed? Is it for the better? Do you think it's good? I mean, are you positive of what's happening with e-commerce in Lebanon?
Well, when I started in 2000, there were 35,000 credit cards in Lebanon at the time, electronic cards, payment cards. Now we have about 2 million cards. So this is a significant growth in the number of cards. So this is definitely a plus. But it's not enough. You need to have a lot of initiatives. I've, for example, suggested once that banks offer the internet card free of charge instead of charging $5 or $10 or $20 a year. So by putting those incentives, people will be more accustomed to using the internet. There is so much to do in order for this to succeed, in fact.
Well, that hasn't stopped you from succeeding with Buy Lebanese.
Now what helped is that my market is actually overseas. Very few people buy from us inside Lebanon. And in order for you to have an e-commerce company that would work well in Lebanon, you have to offer something that is really, 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 really unique in terms of probably pricing or products or services. And I see a lot of new e-commerce companies that go on the market and they simply sell things that you can find next door. This doesn't work this way. You have to do something really unique. So if you want people to buy from you, you have to probably have an amazing price. Like, for example, Groupon sites have worked here because they offer known products at highly discounted prices. This works, for example. If you offer a unique service, it may work. But selling just any product, the way I see it these days, is not
it's not sustainable.
No, it's not sustainable. Of course not.
Karim, to go back a little bit to customer acquisition, which is your specialty also. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are today, have their startups, they may or not have raised money? What would you tell them about customer acquisition?
So you have customer acquisition and customer retention. I think the most important thing is to make every shopping experience memorable. So every client that buys from you has to be extremely happy with what he received. So it could be the speed of service. So if you ship very quickly, he's going to be impressed. So, and this, of course, assuming that you have a very good range of products. So if you can make every experience memorable, this is how it helps you succeed. But the problem is, it takes a lot of effort to make every experience memorable. So how can you make every experience memorable? So it could be the speed of service. It could be a super special offer. It could be an amazing follow-up. And actually, making mistakes is not a problem at all, as long as you know how to solve them. So if you had a problem with a customer, the customer will remember you much better if you resolved the problem very quickly. So
that's very important.
I'm not afraid of mistakes. So this is what you call quality of service. So if you manage to find ways to impress each and every customer, then you can be sure that
I take it from what you're saying, which is what a lot of entrepreneurs unfortunately forget. It's about the customer first. Yes. The product comes later. I mean, it's about really having, putting the customer at the center of the whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And word of mouth is extremely important. So if you have a satisfied customer, he may tell 3 or 4 or 5 people about your service. But if you have a dissatisfied customer, he may spread the word to thousands or to hundreds. And in 24 hours, you can lose your reputation. So the customer is extremely important. I think customers actually build your service. If you don't have happy customers, then you cannot grow, or maybe you can grow a limited amount of time, and then it stops working, and that's it. Yeah.
Is online advertising useful today? I mean, let's take Facebook today. I mean, are ads on these platforms useful?
I cannot generalize, but it really depends on the industry, on the target market, and how you do it. So basically, I think everybody needs some awareness. So if you don't advertise, you don't get known. If you want to advertise, you have to do it wisely. So as I said in the beginning, you have to test your advertising. So by testing, you have so many things to test. You can test the target market, the target. You can test the visuals. You can test the platform, like with A/B testing, with different landing pages. You can test the message you have on your visuals. And after having tested all of this, if it doesn't work, then maybe you can try something else. So today, not everything works the same. So in general, I think that if you're targeting the mass, maybe Facebook would be could help in a way. It also depends on the product, how much it costs. It's really difficult to generalize.
There definitely is no generic answer, but I'm asking the question because there are a lot of debate today in the whole digital marketing world about, do ads work? Because we're seeing less and less return on investment in digital advertising. In addition, the platforms, let's take Facebook for example, they're making it much harder for you. I mean, they're pushing you to take ads, and it's making it much harder and harder to get visibility.
So the thing is, you have to advertise wisely. So don't spend a lot of money without making sure that the platform you're using is going to bring you a return. Try to use some. If you have an e-commerce company, try to use the CPA model. So if you get a customer, you pay a percentage to the
affiliation model.
Yeah, the affiliation part. But launching huge campaigns for an e-commerce website without testing, without analytics, for me is a waste of money. So you have to advertise wisely. I'm not against advertising because, again, if you don't advertise, it's more difficult for you to get known. But advertise slowly and wisely.
What I understand from this is setting the right digital strategy is becoming more and more critical. You can't just go do it, because a lot of entrepreneurs at the early stage, and we see them in the accelerator, come in. I mean, they think of it, the digital acquisition part, customer acquisition part, to be relatively easy. Like, I'll do ads and I'll get people. It doesn't work that straightforward.
Well, first of all, the implementation. If you want to optimize your spend and your advertising, you have to implement tags, and there is some programming to do on your platform. If you want to advertise on Facebook and Google, you have a piece of code to have on
Who controls digital advertising today? Is it engineers or marketeers? Who are
I think both. Yeah, both together. And actually, when they develop things, they develop them together. The engineers cannot work without marketeers in this aspect, and vice versa.
Yeah. So for all those building teams, remember that. That's very important. Karim, I'm going to open another topic, which is more your. I know you're a militant against spamming. first of all, do you spam as Buy Lebanese? Do you send emails, newsletters? Do you collect emails you don't have the right to use? Or
of course not. Never. I've been fighting spam since 2008, and spam is actually destroying marketing. I think it's a very big problem, and people are relying a lot on spam because it's cheaper than conventional means of advertising. And as you know now, because we have a lower purchasing power as consumers, we rely, and as brands, we rely more on spam, on SMSs and emails. This is problematic because it also affects the businesses who don't spam. For example, today when you send millions of SMSs, you're cluttering networks, you're upsetting consumers.
The whole visibility of brands decreases for everyone.
Yes, exactly. And for example, when you send a lot of like millions of emails as well, it discourages people from registering to your newsletter because they don't want to receive, they're getting a lot of emails. So today, if somebody did not grant you the permission to receive an SMS or an email, you should never contact him. So you need to have the consent of the consumer before emailing him or sending him SMSs. So in our case, we send newsletters, but even in the newsletters we send them every few weeks or every few months. We don't send them very frequently because we don't want people to get a lot of those.
For those that don't know, Karim did an amazing thing, which I know bothers a lot of people, which is you managed, we're not going to talk about it, but I know you, one of the few people who managed to stop your telecom provider sending you spam SMSs. And you did a huge campaign to get that stopped, and it worked.
Yes, it worked because in terms of as a consumer, it is my right to say no. So whenever there is a violation of privacy and consumer rights, everybody should say no, and this is what I stood up for. So I had to complain repeatedly to the Ministry of Economy, the Ministry of Telecom, and tell them that as a consumer, I have the right to say no to my mobile operator not to spam me. So this took a lot of time.
But you succeeded.
But I can say I succeeded 95%. And now I was able to block the spam that comes from my mobile operators, but there is still sometimes a lot of spam which comes from providers and other companies. Well, I've blocked a lot of those.
That's already a good start.
Yes.
Karim Saikali, founder of buylebanese.com and ecomlebanon.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Jihad.